Why is there two streams on? Okay, that was that. Never mind. Sorry about that, folks. I see two streams on. There was a D2 champion stream never went off. That's okay. Apologies there. Did not see that. It's on my end, but we're good. It's good to have Nick. We're gonna go into the scene right now. Joining me, of course, as always, is my main brother from another, Sean ProCheck Ard. Ard, we are good right now. We are live, right?
Yeah, we are live.
Okay, apologies for that. I did not know the stream or whatever was happening did not go off. That is 100% on me. I did not know the other stream did not go off today, and I should have deleted that, but that's okay. Regardless, your thoughts on Nick? I don't personally know him much like that. He's more of these newer gen players in a sense. So it's going to be interesting to learn what's it like to be Nick at night. What do we think here?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know much about him. All I know is he did win March, and I think it's going to be something interesting to know about the guy like him. We'll see how this goes.
All right, well, let's get to it. Nick, as always, how we usually start these interviews off, man. You get your chance to introduce yourself, get a little introduction of yourself, who you are, and tell the fans at home, Nick and Night, the March night, what do we got? Let us know, buddy. Feel free. Floor's yours.
What's up, y'all? It's your favorite player's favorite player, Nick. March 2025 champion. On the way to Bangkok. We don't talk about 2024. 2025, we're winning it all. Let's get this thing rolling.
All right, looking forward to it, buddy. All right, well, Nick, obviously, we know a little bit about your player. You started in this league as a rookie. Of course, we had that ridiculous rookie, let's call it tsunami. We had a bunch of rookie tsunamis come in. But talking about the origin story of how you found this league and a little bit about your introduction to the league in D1. Go ahead. I had a fight for you to stay up here, which is interesting. If you want to tell that story too, go ahead.
Yeah. It started off with Myth's game shows. A lot of the people that came in that rookie class in 2024 came from Myth's side because he did a big advertisement there for his Uno servers. I joined that server like years and years ago for TWOW related reasons. If you don't know what TWOW is basically just like a writing competition that people do online. And through that, I had only just joined the Uno tournament that they had going on over in Myths when all of a sudden I saw the advertisement for MRE about it being like a professional style Uno league and whatnot. And I thought, man, if I could get up there, that'd be like really, really cool to have like this media stuff going on, being treated like a professional player and whatnot. Even if it is Uno at the end of the day, I really like the idea of the vibes up here. So I checked in. I don't know the exact day I joined. I want to say it was like January, where you guys were just in the process of filling out the 64-man field and figuring out, okay, this player's going to D1, this player, he's going to D2. And I was in that bubble area of players like Ashley and Brad and Tapir, where you really had to make a judgment call on the spot on whether or not they had the chops to stay up in D1 or if they needed time down in D2. KT and I, we had a little practice match going on, and we were in VC together. And after a while of playing, he just told me, I mean, I'm gonna have to find a way to keep you up in D1, man. I see the potential. He even told me if you go down to D2, you're cooking down there. So that really made me feel that really made me feel good about myself, getting that sort of compliment from the guy in charge himself. And yeah, I mean, from there on, it was just smooth sailing in terms of staying up here in D1.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember that practice game. I just checked just to confirm, January 5th, 24. So it's been a solid now 19 months here, basically. Think about January, Ard's 12 plus the 7th here. 8 months complete. About 19, 20 months. And I remember doing that practice game with Nick. It was really, really crazy. I think it was a week after he joined, and Man, it's 10 o'clock at night. Now, sure, I'm not really the best at 10 o'clock hours. Usually I get fried.
Right, yeah.
I get fried, and then we all know that I kind of retired from those late night streams. But even at 10 o'clock, okay, 50%. This guy's hanging in. Now, of course, that was on the old bot, and you know how that went. But I said, this guy's got potential. Now, it didn't start off great, and we had G last night. We talked about G. He's been at the top, and then he went to the top of the mound. Then he went to the bottom of the valleys and the peaks. Now he's back at the top. You're a little different. You're kind of in this. You were at the bottom. You were at the basement. Now you're on the top four. How is that transition going from the bottom, the basically the base floor, to the top? And how do you stay in check and knowing that, man, I was once that guy that was a 1 or 2 win player and had nothing but dark skies and thunderstorms ahead, and now those storms have cleared and you've made your way. Now, sure, of course, to get there, you got to retain consistent, but we won't know until next year if this is a 1-year fluke thing, which we've seen that with players. But how do you try to balance the fact that and ground yourself knowing you were at the bottom and now you've made it to the top of the floor? Go ahead.
That 2024 year, you got to realize that I was just starting out in one-on-one Uno. Like, I had done the one tourney in Myths back in, that was like late December, and then immediately going up to MRE D1, that was going to be a tall task no matter who it was. It's just been a constant learning process. You take little bits and pieces from every single match that you do. Funnily enough, I did start my career off with a win against Ghost that was off stream. So it started on a positive note. The rest of the year wasn't so positive. I got one more win in T3. So I was never really in too much risk of being relegated. But at the same time, I mean, it never feels good to lose that regularly, like being a bottom of the barrel player, even if it could have theoretically been worse. I was just proud to, hold my chops against everybody else that was up there with worlds more experience than I had coming in. Because we saw a lot of other players that came in that rookie class, and they either completely bombed out in that first year or ended up slowly falling off to the point where now they're out of here in 2025. So, it's been an enjoyable experience seeing that my time and effort into making myself a better Uno player overall, having that sort of the fruits of that being my 2025 March championship there. But you got to keep that chip on your shoulder. I feel like you can't get complacent when you're at the top, because winning is just so difficult no matter who you are or who you're playing or what seed line you're on. You always got to be hungry for the next win. You can never get too complacent thinking about what you've done. You always got to look into the future and think about, how can I take it to the next level? How can I keep pushing the envelope to where I can give myself the best theoretical odds possible to take away the next win,
And that's the one thing I like you said there, the theoretical odds and the learning process of it. It's not easy. When you come up from let's call it as is, more of this laid back Bush League environment, right? The more amateur environment submits at the start, and then you come up to the pro style of this league, you're going to have to deal with media, right? You're going to have to deal with pressure. You're going to have to deal with expectations. There is a class system. There's 5 of them, right? We only had 1, 2 back in the day. It used to be just legends and the rest. That's how crazy this league has evolved. Now we've got this new class, and the novice class used to be called sophomores when you were here. What's been the biggest takeaway moving up from a rookie to let's call it novice, right? Even though you're in your sophomore season. I know it's a little ironic. But what's been the biggest takeaway? Because the competition, you think, okay, novice class, we got big names there, man. What's your thoughts? Because I remember you were thinking when you won March, it's a breeze, but look who's come up. Andy, that's a huge name, right? Anyway, silver medalist. Stack Johnson, we'll talk about him a little later. Stacked won a tournament. say what you want about Mr. Hasim the Dream Acosta, but where did he come from, right? Talk to me about some of those names that have come up with you in the class, because there's been a lot. Lara, another one. A lot of these people have come up from the blue and have really showed out. Talk to me about just the class of all, because some of these people were rookies. I know Andy was, and I believe that's it, just Andy, because Hasim, Lara, they've been around. But Andy was one of those good examples of a rookie coming up to novice. Sting was hyped up as another one. Andreas, talk me through
it. Yeah, I think it's pretty. I think mostly anybody in this league can pop off and win many series if they get the cards to fall the right way. But it also comes down to if you're placed in a novice class. I remember specifically this whole storyline with Drip, even though he may have not been the most successful this year. He was always like, I want to prove that I'm not on novice. I want to prove this label wrong. And going into the year, that was my exact philosophy on it. You get placed in, the lowest class, I mean, except next to rookies, but I mean, rookies, that's a whole different scenario. But you want to prove people wrong. That chip on your shoulder, I truly believe that there's a lot of merit to that. It drives you to be even hungrier than the guy who, he's chilling up in master's class. He's been there, done that. If you're in a novice class, you're fighting for every single inch that you can earn out there. So, seeing Andy, seeing Stack Johnson, seeing Lara, seeing Acosta, seeing all these novices pop off, I mean, it doesn't necessarily surprise me. I mean, the label is just a label at the end of the day. When you got a lot of people, like, even though they have the novice label, they still have a lot of experience being up here. You can never take anybody lightly. So, I'm just grateful that I was able to, separate myself from the pack a little bit more to where I have the tournament win. I don't have to stress about, being one of the top 16 guys because I've already done that in March. I was able to just focus on preparing myself for Super League.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing you said. Drip was the one story. It's just the label. I'm not a novice, man. I can be a veteran or even a master, right? And it's the evolution of trying to ditch that label, ditch that. I guess you say monkey off your back. Theoretically, you try to ditch that monkey off your back of a label, and it gives you an extra chip on your shoulder. Would you say you've had your chip on your shoulder moment in this year, or what was your biggest chip on your shoulder? Because I remember the first iteration of Nick 1.0 was, damn, I can't hold a lead. Right? We saw it with Abion last year. We saw it with Grimm. We saw it with some of these players where you would get up 2-0 and you blow it, right? And you have to learn. Brock was another one. What was the biggest turnaround in your game when you had those leads? Because when you were from behind, you actually played really well because you had less pressure. How did you try to forward the gas to have more pressure in a sense that, hey, put a little bit more pressure on myself? Don't get too complacent, especially in a situation where you're up. Because it's easy to get complacent when you're up. It really is. You think about anything in life. When you're up, what can go wrong? But the moment you get down, I got nothing to lose. So how did you develop that house money mindset, almost to reverse engineer it, to get to where you're almost saying every situation is house money when you're up, and how you beat some of those comebacks? Because I remember the vivid one was against Yepes. Ashley, you were down 3-0 and won the championship. Go ahead and talk me through it.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, continuing to stay locked in no matter how much of a lead that you have. And, it's not a perfect solution. I mean, the perfect example of that was even against Monkey. I blew that lead, but that was a combination of me getting too complacent and other circumstances that were going on at the time, which I won't get into. But, you just gotta. I like to think of myself, the current Nick 2.0, I'm a very momentum-based player. If I could get off the blocks early, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to the finish with the victory. That was my whole March run, except for, as you said, the last two, which was Yepes and Ashley. Yepes, that was a complete back and forth. I mean, I was up 3-0, but I knew it was going to be a dogfight with Pez because, I mean, it's Yepez. I mean, talking about Super League champion #1 over here. I knew it would go down to the wire, so you just got to stay locked in, keep getting these wins where you can when you have an opportunity to get them, because you never know what sort of hands you're going to get down the way. Because there's games where just based on the cards that you get, you just lose no matter what you try to do. So you just got to keep that in mind, and regardless of the score, you just got to keep on thinking, okay, I need to win this specific game if I want to win. You know, you want to maximize your opportunities whenever you can get them. And against Ashley, you know, I was on the point of just getting completely frustrated against Ashley because she was doing her typical, you know, 13, 14, you know, and just whittle you down and get the right draw and finish the game. You know, you got to find a way to break that momentum. If you can break that momentum and, you know, get momentum on your side, then the comeback becomes a lot more easier. We've seen a lot of comebacks this year. We've seen Abion and Stack Johnson, that bottle of the lead. We've seen, I want to think of other examples of blown leads that happened this year. It's like Caesar and, who was it? It was Caesar and Gold, I believe, or no, Caesar Toasty, right? Am I thinking that right?
See, I gotta go think about that. Let me check.
Whichever one it was. Comebacks are so easy to do if you have the momentum going on your side.
The Vapor Andy, there you go, 6-1. Vapor's down.
Vapor Andy. How could I forget Vapor Andy? Oh my god, that's the most insane game I've ever watched, like legitimately.
Yeah, we had a lot of them.
It just goes to show.
We had a lot of them, for sure.
Yeah, it just shows that you can never get complacent, and you always got to keep on fighting, no matter what. And I always take that to heart, especially after being down in the dirt, kicked down in the dirt repeatedly, you know, kicked down in the dirt, leaving 2024 on a sour note with Brock beating me on that number efficient play at the end. You know, it's just something that you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, William Brock, man, he fades everything. He fades the power play. He fades the numbers. He's a ridiculous player, but
he is 101.
yeah, it's unreal. But +4 flexes and all that. But the thing with the whole thing you mentioned here, you mentioned two important points I took away from that was there is no such thing as Vapor joins us. There is no such thing as too much momentum. I do remember that Yepez game. Of course, the Ashley game. It was a little weird too because we were at the back end, I believe, of the MCSR. I think that was one of the last tournaments before we switched over to, hey, we can do CSR. But
yeah,
now with the league going to regular CSR and MCSR ditched, I do remember that Yepez game, calling that one. It might have been me, Caesar, and Ard, ironically. It's one of the only games Caesar did.
Yeah, it was.
It was crazy. And I just remember, this isn't over, man. It's not just Yepez, it's just the momentum. I kept saying in my head, it ain't about who wins 3 in a row. It's just who's going to get hot at the right time. And while you had no momentum in that middle portion of the game where he was getting the hands, you did get the one hand you needed in game 11 where he only had a little bit to fight with. And we talk about the whiplash in this bot. It's unbelievable how you think you're in control and the bot says, no, well, you might have a little too much control. Talk to me about the principle of this league and the bot as well, where no two games are the same, but do you feel that no two series are the same? Because we have seen so many. Now, of course, there have been some bad series where things were just terrible with the card luck, or some people have just flat admitted player mindset wasn't there. Talk to me about just the ebbs and flows of the league and that whiplash theory and how it changes compared to, let's say, the first generation of not just the bot, but the first generation of player, where you may have never even heard of that term. As the league, this league definitely is one of the few, if not the only league, that presents these terms to make the game feel a little bit not only special but more interconnected with the vocabulary. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the stat tab with the bot is the main driver of all this. Because before you were just driving blind, you know, if all the ammo was going one way, I mean, you could feel it, but there was no like representation in the box score about, you know, this many +2s, this many wilds, we're going this way. Now you can specifically identify, okay, this is happening. We're going through whiplash. You know, player A was getting everything, and now player B is getting everything. And, you know, just on a theoretical level, I mean, absolutely, every single series you have to take a little bit differently, not only just because of the bot, but because of the player. You know, you play with what you got, but you also got to, when you can, get reads off of your opponent, what they like to do, you know, and figure out, you know, how to effectively work against what they like to do from, you know, watching film and whatnot, you know. It's never a one-size-fits-all solution if you're trying to maximize your winning chances, because there's so many variables that go into it, and even more variables that are just completely out of your control. Like, obviously, Uno's a very luck-driven game. I like to equate it to, if you're playing poker, you know, the best player doesn't win every single hand of poker, right? But depending on how you play, you know, with your hands and with how you read the opponents at the table, you can maximize your winning chances, where over enough of a sample size, you can be overall winning given enough games. And, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily represented if you're playing, you know, 7, 8, 9 games in a season, but further down the line, years and years into this, you know, you get players that do separate themselves off from the pack just based on their ability to, you know, play the game. And I feel like there's a lot of potential with that, where Uno isn't necessarily 100% luck driven, like some people may or may not believe, but, you know, you sort of sway the odds as best as you can. You control what you're able to control, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, poker, in a way, you talk about the momentum in that. Really, in Uno, you got to know how to bluff, too. Think about it. In poker, you're trying to bluff, for sure. You have a good hand, but you ain't trying to... Well, okay, I shouldn't say that, because it depends on the setting. But let's say it's an offline setting, right? As in, we're offline, we're playing on a computer. In that one, it's about how you raise and how you counter the raises. It's raise, or do you call? How you call and raise. If it was an in-person setting, it's just facial expressions. Try to keep those facial expressions down to a minimum and know when to bluff. And this one, in the sense that you could bluff here too in Uno. Those fake wilds, those fake +2s, in a sense, where, hey, I threw those +2s. Was that all the ammo I got? It's up for you to guess, right? And there's ways to camouflage those looks, and especially on maybe a non-stream game, not as much you'll hear that because it's just go, go, go. But definitely on a stream game, it's fascinating to hear the commentators and the commentary of, oh, well, what were they doing, right? How do you pick up on that? And you get those reps, and you can really hone in and develop your skills. But we'll talk a little bit about more on the Uno side, my man. But I got to go to my brother ProCheck with a question. This is a good question. I only helped him with a couple, but this is the only one I really helped him with, because I know it. Only I know this, and I wanted to make Ard look good on this one. So Ard, question 1.
Yeah. Okay. So Nick, I want to ask here, what does engineering performance in Uno and engineering your studies correlate to better performance on and off the table?
You are a mechanical engineer. I knew you were studying that. I remember you saying that.
I do study mechanical engineering. You know, I feel like Uno, I don't want to say it's entirely like mathematical, but there is some level of like probability involved in it. Like when you're dealing with engineering, it's a lot of physics and machining, which, I mean, that doesn't really play any sort of effect at all. But I'll be damned. There's a lot of mathematics involved when you're being an engineer. So I like to think of this game in terms of probabilities, even if it isn't the most logical way to think about it. I want to try to play as optimal as I can given the cards in my hand. And, that's just something I always strive for. But at the same time, you can't always play optimal, because if you're always playing optimal, then if your opponent knows you're playing optimal, then they can read you. Like, sometimes you got to spice it up a little bit, show them something that they're not ready for. But yeah, I feel like being an engineer drives the way it impacts the way that I approach the game at a fundamental level, where, say, someone from a different background wouldn't necessarily think the same way. I think more logically, like, about certain situations where other people can have other ways of thinking about it. And I think that's the beauty of the game. There's many ways to skin the cat. There's no magic solution where if you play this exact way every single time, then you'll have a 75% win rate. No, anybody that's trying to say that just hasn't played enough Uno to know what they're talking about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's definitely some math involved, but I think to kind of spice that question, I'll do a follow-up. Let's say you're solving a problem in... Give me a class. What's the class you're taking right now?
I'm taking like a thermodynamics class right now.
All right, so Art, real quick, Art. So real quick, we always joke YouTube universe. That's above our pay grade. That's above our pay grade. So let's say thermodynamics. You're taking thermodynamics, right? And you have to go through a thought process. Is there any processes of thought? Let's just forget math. We know there's no crazy math in Uno. At the end of the day, maybe you can look at simulation models of film study, but even then, what were we looking at here? Do you feel the thought process of going through a thermodynamic equation versus a game 7 or a final game? Is there anything that can correlate to those late game situations, or when you're down? Do you feel it's the thought process? Okay, I have to figure this out. They've given me 7 different looks. There's 7 different variables. There's 4 different constants that I have to figure. Talk me through the thought process. Maybe we can't correlate with math, but can we go through the mind and say there is a correlation there to kind of spice it up?
There is a little bit of a correlation there. I mean, you're talking about if you're just doing the homework, then that's sort of like a non-streamed game. But if you're taking a quiz, that's a streamed game. If your finals week is a dang finale with all the pressure that's put on you to figure out these problems. Yeah. Final Four. Yeah. That's when the pressure really kicks up. But, I think there is a little bit to that. I wouldn't put an insane amount of stock, but in terms of pressure, just because engineering, getting an engineering degree, as I've learned through my now it's soon to be 4 years of academia, it's no joke. Like, you got to really lock in and get your studies in order. You got to make sure that you're on top of your game with a variety of different things. So I think just in terms of the pressure, I feel like that has, somewhat prepared me for this, where maybe the high pressure situations don't necessarily get to me as much as the average individual would in the same circumstances,
Is there anything you've learned over your time at college, or, well, I'd say college because high school is such a different beast, but you're a junior or sophomore?
I'm in my senior year right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're about to graduate next year, right? I'm assuming March or so, or May,
yeah,
right? Somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Okay, so in your 4 years, right, or almost 4 years, what's the biggest lesson you learned and taken away from not just your studies, but just the atmosphere and the college experience? Because, like I said, it's always enlightening for a guy like Ard and myself. We've never been. I know a lot of people in the league are college-based, or even Nam and other players in high school, which is a whole different beast.
Yeah.
but the college life. What's been some important takeaways for sure?
Uh, I think the most important thing that I've learned in college, it hasn't really been something that comes directly from a notebook, but it's just learning to stay disciplined and stay the course on your studies, but also, carving out some times to where you can relax, stop and smell the roses and enjoy college life. You can't just you can't just live in your studies 24/7. You'll just be miserable. You gotta, of course, take care of the studies, but it's about finding that balance to where you're disciplined enough to where you can get your studies taken care of while also having a good time, making friends, meeting up at the football game or the basketball game with buddies. It's not all about what you learn from a textbook out here. It's about the social experience as well, and I find that very, 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 very helpful for me.
Yeah, it's the work life balance, or in this case, the school life balance. And look, at the end of the day, you always got to find that balance. But I'll bring in Ard here for a second. And Ard, we always discuss this, man. In every interview we've done, it's crazy we're bringing this up again. It really is the balancing act of life. Sometimes you'll have those days where you're whatever grind you're at. There's some people are on school grind, some people are on life grind, work grinds. Unfortunately, some people are on midlife crisis or sorry, Pack, dad grind, 5 kids. I mean, can't wait for that one tomorrow. The dad grind, but whatever grind you are on, you always got to find that breaking point of okay, there's a breaking point in it. And I need to find that benchmark to say I can take time to relax. That's important. I want you to comment on that, Art, because I feel like that's been one of the biggest things that we've done across the board on these interviews. There's always a work-life balance for sure. Talk about that real quick, Art.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people have to make time for, and it's always those difficult sorts of things. It like I even had to deal with that myself before recently, but trying to work around that sort of stuff, it all it takes is a lot more on patience and making sure that you're not messing something up that you aren't doing, because it's always the saying that if it's not broken,
Yeah,
don't fix it.
amen to that. Yeah,
Don't change it. It's sort of one of those things.
yeah, that's a good statement, man. Because a lot of people think, well, it's working, everything's good, but I'll tell you this: 90% of success, even what's 90% of success, is the same boring daily stuff. Right? I know. I recently did an interview with someone in Taco Bell. I recently did an interview with him, and that's the one thing I've noticed, man. In anything you do, most of the time, it's 90% boring. It's the same routine every day. It's the same thing, same grind. But if you can find 10% of, hey, I can find something fun in this 90% grind, you really can be successful and find the balance. That's the key. It's that balancing point. But that's the old seesaw theory. I'll go back to the league, man.
Yeah.
Big question we're going to ask here. All the tournament winners, which one of you, now, I don't believe you played. Did you ever play? I don't think you played Mac ever. Did you play Vapor? No,
No.
right? No.
No.
You never play any of the tournament. Okay, so all the tournament winners.
No, I haven't.
Which one of you look at for this year only? Right. The past is the past, right? But of this year's tournament winners, which one are you excited to potentially play? Maybe in the Super League, or if you ever wanted to play, and which one of those people's games do you identify as? I mean, that's an interesting game. Is it the stacked attack, the vaporizer, or G? What do we got?
In terms of who I think has the most interesting gameplay, I mean,
And who would you like to
I
follow? Yep.
who I'd like to play.
Yep. And then
Um, I mean, they all have their pros and cons to the way they play. I feel like Vapor is the better overall player out of the three. I mean, G is a very refined style. He not only likes to play sort of that optimal way, but also he sometimes throws in a little mind games. Mac, he's all over the place, but that's able to throw off his opponents. You know, he's a little bit of a wild card. He's the wild card of the tournament winners, in my opinion. And I mean, that's not facetious or anything. That I love him for it, but I feel like the way that Vapor plays, I mean, he's able to find that balance between, you know, aggression and passive play, where, you know, because I played him in practice many times. I just feel like the way that he plays is something that I strive towards in my own game, and deep down I feel like he feels the same way about me, even if he sometimes complains about me playing a little bit lame because I draw too much. But you know, I'd love to play, you know, any of the in Super League play, but I mean, out of the three, probably Vapor would be the one that I want to play most. I mean, I don't shy away from the big games. If we meet up in bracket, I feel like it'd be fireworks, and I'd be here for it.
It's interesting. G said anyone could. He didn't care or anybody. I think definitely we can kind of look at the field. We'll talk more about this in one of the Super League live shows. I think most people are going to say, though, Stack is the wild card. And I think with Stack is he had so much ceiling, right? He had so much ceiling. He had so much room to grow. He's been here since the start, and I believe he is the oldest tournament winner. I believe he's one of the oldest guys that's won a tournament.
I'm not beating him. I'm not beating him.
No. He's almost 30. So I believe me and Stack are the two oldest guys that have ever won a tournament, which is not saying much because he's 29, I believe, and I'm 26. So there you go. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting debate between experience and youth. I think will be interesting when we get to Super League. But you know, talking about that though, it's a whole different world, man. We sometimes talk about D1 as the pinnacle league where you want to be up here, but talk to me about the variety of characters here, because there is a lot of characters of youth versus experience versus life experience and everything in between. Talk me through the youth versus experience. What have you learned from the characters? Because we have anybody from high school kids and Sting and to everyone's favorite class clown, sometimes in Monkey, to a statistician and Charles Sanford, and guys in their 30s like Lamas, and then guys in the middle, and then guys getting close to their 30s in a sense, like myself and Pac. So what's your thoughts on just the wild pinnacle that is the one of the characters? Go ahead.
I absolutely love the cast of characters that we have up here. I mean, it wouldn't be nearly the same draw if we had, you know, 64 versions of myself up here playing Uno against each other until the end of time. We need some we need the spice of life. We need some variety up here. So, you know, I welcome it with open arms. I love the guys. I love the Brocks of the world. I even love even though it can get off the rails at times, I even love the M's of the Eric Monacos of the world. You know, being a successful player doesn't always necessarily have to equate to winning. It is, if you have that mindset. If you just go out there and have fun, you're pretty much a winner in my book. But at least in my case, I'm trying to do a little bit more than have fun. But you know, I really enjoy the cast of characters we have up here. Gio, I believe, is going to be someone who's coming up into D1 next year. I think he just clinched it earlier today. I'm not 100%. I'm not a league authority. I can't say with 100% he's going to be up here, but he will fit in perfectly with that cast of characters, and I'm going to really enjoy seeing him play up here in D1 next year. The way he plays, it's just hilarious, and I feel like that's a very valuable quality up here.
Yeah, we have a bunch of characters, and I think we talk about character development, Ard, and that's what we're trying to do here. It's great to have the character, but we got to get the media right. And this year was a stepping stone into trying to figure it out with the advisor stuff, trying to get this media department going. I think if we can do more of these interviews and really let these characters shine, it gives these guys more of a voice and a platform than just cookie cutter. Because if you just have cookie cutters, we need a couple of those. You probably need at least 10, and in the 60, you probably need 10, 15 of those. But if you can have 10, 15 cookie cutters, 10, 15 wild characters, 10, 15 wild cards like pack, then we're really finding some spicy variety, which is what you want. It's like a variety pack of candy, and if you can have a variety pack of this flavor, that flavor, you're cooking for sure.
Sure.
I kind of want to add in my point on that. You're kind of right. And maybe not. You might not even need like 10. You could just have. It's kind of almost like a bag of jelly beans.
Yeah,
if you want to throw that in, you want to have all this sort of variety, and that's kind of what we want to have up here. It's just that variety of not just all one thing, but it's all over the place.
Well, I think you made a good segue. I'll let you ask that next question you got in the pre-call. What do we got?
Yeah, here. Okay, Nick, I want to ask you here is, how have you treated the journey in both loss and triumph in your career, in here and off the table?
I experienced the loss and triumph, not just here, but in my own life.
Yeah, and kind of like that.
Well, I'm a very competitive person at heart. And for the longest time, it was very, very difficult for me to swallow my pride and accept the loss. Like, I want to say like years ago, I still get points where I get ticked off, but it was bad like a couple of years ago. And that was with a variety of things, whether it be like online reality games or other competitions, like writing competitions. I just put all this pressure on myself to perform when at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you're as long as you're having fun. Does it really matter what position or what place you get in so-and-so competition? So I feel like through my years of that, I've gotten better at just, putting things into perspective where one loss isn't necessarily the end of the world. Like if I end up in group stages and go 0 for 5, I mean, yeah, I'll be mad. Yeah, not want to look at an Uno game for a week or so, but at the end of the day, it is just Uno, and you just gotta put things into perspective. Like last year, I would have absolutely killed to have a season like this, even if I go out there and stink it up in Super League. 9 wins on the year, March champion. I got that trophy in my collection right now. So it's just a lot of, growth on a human level, in order to make it to where, I can swallow my pride and, be a normal human being about these sorts of things without putting all this pressure on myself to perform to these crazy expectations.
Yeah, and you think about it, you're also young. You're only 21, right? 22, 21?
Yeah, 21.
Yeah, back then you're 18, 16, 17, 20. You're still learning. There's no, I have the answers at 18. I got no. Well, it's a journey. At the end of the day, you take every win, you take every loss in stride. It's not easy, man. At the end of the day, you look at the stakes here, and you think about it too. I think you were one of the few. I remember you saying something along the lines of, well, tournament win's not easy to get, but if a tournament win's not easy to get, then a medal's basically rare as air. It's a blue lobster. The medals are rare, man. it's not easy to get those. But tournament wins, they're hard. But if you get a medal, you're doing something right. Whether that's a trophy, silver, gold, or a bronze, or heck, even though there's no medal to it, and just a class championship, right? It's still something. So that's the prestige of the league at the end. That comes to where you start thinking about that year 5 or 6. Okay, well now I'm getting to a point in my career 5, 6. If we get there, well, I'm sure we will. Okay, well here we are. Right. Now I'm getting to that point in my career. Okay, now I gotta start thinking about legacy. But no, you're still young into your career. It's only year 2 for you, and it's only year 3 for the league. So we still got a long way to go before we think about that. But good question.
Yeah, long way to go.
Good question, man. It's a good question because there is always a triumphant moment and a tragedy too. There's always the tragedy too of how you try to deal with that. So now your competitive spirit, would you say you got that from just life, your family, or maybe something that happened in your childhood? Where did that come from? Go ahead, elaborate a little bit.
Just, I don't think any of my family are as naturally competitive as I am. I think I've just got it from life, from being just a natural sports fan. I've just been like this for as long as I remember. I always strive to push myself to compete to the best of my ability. And I feel like that contributes even more to the chip on my shoulder where, if people have these expectations where I feel like, okay, I can do a lot better, then I feel like that just grows the chip on my shoulder even more to where it drives me even further to do the best that I can. And, at the end of the day, I could sit up here and be happy, but there's something deep down inside that's like, if you're not undisputed number 1, there's still work to do, brother. You still got to put in those hours and keep at it, It's just something that, as far back as I can remember, I've always been, since like the playground days to now, ever since, as far as I can remember, yeah.
That's just ingrained, right, in life, and we talk about art, and we'll bring you back in, man. You really are a sponge when you're young, and shoot, if it's not inbred in your family or it's not in you through siblings or genetics, then you have to learn everything through life experience. And there's 2 things I always say, and there's 2 things we've discussed this too, that it's hard to teach. It's really hard to teach your favorite word, accountability. And the other word is definitely competitiveness, because accountability and competitiveness go hand in hand. Because if you're competitive, you're going to be accountable in a sense of, okay, I know I'm competitive. I'm a serial XYZ player, or serial XYZ winner, or serial XYZ whatever. Insert an adjective here. But at the same time, it's not easy. You don't say, I'm going to teach you how to be competitive 101 for dummies. I'm going to be competitive 101 for this, or accountability 101 for... There's no teaching in that. It really is. You either see it, and it gets ingrained in you, and you just try to emulate it. And the beauty of emulation is, we'll talk about this a little later, is the league is the same way in the sense of any league, not just this, any league, where you see something, you want to strive to be that XYZ player, whether it be number 1 or a top echelon player. And then when you get there, it's about maintaining it, but you have to realize to get there, you have to go to that next competition level. You have to go to that next nth degree to really boost units. So you want to talk about that real quick, Ard? Go ahead.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of one of those sorts of things. And here's the thing, not everyone's going to probably get into those sorts of things like teaching this sort of stuff. But it also takes a little bit of time to get into that motion of trying to go for strides into being something better. And I can say this, I think everyone has gone to those sorts of things about either accountability or competitiveness. Because you can't have both. I'll say this. Maybe not having both, but once you finally get into that motions of doing one of those 2 things, you you constantly try to improve it each day. Even if it's just the tiniest little thing, even the smallest thing, you've done something yourself for the better.
Yeah, 1%, right? Every day you get that 1% there, you build up 1%, whatever, insert goal here, and it eventually can lead up to that 99, 100%, right? But of course, we always talk about this 100% is that's perfection. And perfection, while it may seem to exist, as Nick said, there's always going to be something to work on to get to that number one, and then try to run it back or try to build on that base. Now, Nick, obviously, you've had some interesting moments for sure in this league. You've had some interesting welcome to the league moments. Would you say there's been a welcome to the league moment more than just the blown leads outside those games, as I mentioned with MGR from this season? Because ironically, you've had a similar season to Peter and myself, who won March, where we all sat down with 8 or 9 wins, and we got our March trophy in the back of the old Lambo, and we're just enjoying. But you talk to me about just the fact of what was the not maybe so much welcome to the league, but welcome to the echelon of the upper tier and how to balance it. Because it's not easy. Because once you win that tournament, it takes everything to win a major. It does. And when you win a major, especially at the start of the end of the year is different. You win at the end of the year, you got so many reps, man. You had so many. You're not coming off a 6-month off season, or in our case, a couple month off season. For you, it was a 6-month off season because you didn't win. You didn't play after you lost against Brock in August. It was basically September, October, November, December, January. So yeah, talk to me about how you had to develop some of those traits of knowing now yes you won and you had that welcome to the league moment, knowing hey you're a tournament winner, but it's not easy because everyone's gunning for you. Talk me through
that. The one moment that comes to my mind when you say the welcome to the top echelon moment was I don't remember specifically the exact conversation we were having, but it was Charles saying something to the effect that since you're the number 1 overall seed, you're expected to win the tournament again. And I was like, Charles, I have some pretty unfortunate news for those who are expecting me to go back to back. I mean, it's possible. Vapor proved the haters wrong. He's done back to back tourneys, but that is so difficult. No matter if you're coming off of 0 wins or if you're coming off of like 50 wins, it's so difficult. No matter what position you're in to win a tournament. I mean, not getting into buys or whatever, but even then, you're still going through like 5 different opponents where just based on the bot or some unfortunate switches, you can get taken out like that. The other part, what was the other part of your question? It was.
We'll look at that. I said, welcome to the league moment. I said, but I scratched it. It was just. Would you say? I guess I can. Would you say maybe that loss to Peter, or who else did you lose to? Back Robin. What loss? I guess in a sense really humbled you. Say, man, I'm up here, but I can be taken out. Which one? Or you know, I can be taken out just like you said. Just unfortunate. Or the monkey one, I don't think matters because that one you made a Sweet 16, and there was no really. There was at least a run there, but you want to talk about when maybe some of the early losses after that tournament win, where you're like, man.
Yeah.
And you can fall back into that complacent state of life. How did you try to balance that and say, hey, I got to block out that white noise?
Yeah, it was definitely the Peter loss. I mean, it felt like I had chances. I didn't necessarily have all the chances that I would have hoped for on that game. But game 2 of that specifically, where it was like 24 minutes straight of just us two thinking and playing and thinking and playing. And then from then on, I try to make some sort of comeback there, but it wasn't really going. That was the sort of humbling moment of, okay, you're not just invincible, you're still mortal, you still bleed, you still can lose just like anybody else. And I feel like it's easy to get complacent, especially if you are that March tourney winner. You know, there's the whole myth, the March tourney winner curse, where if you win March, you're just doomed to not do anything else the rest of the season. I mean, the statistics point to that being true, but I feel like regardless of what tourney you win, it's also very difficult to, consistently show out and be at the top every single time, especially this year. The only guy that's really done it where he's consistently been at the top, it's Vapor. And all the other tourney winners have had good seasons, but haven't really had any major breakout runs to back it up necessarily. Then the way I combat that, I just make sure I get as many reps, not necessarily in tournament, but as close to it as possible, whether it's in practice cups or in stuff going on in Grimland or heck, even just practice pings. I try to get as many reps in as possible. I feel like the reps are important, even though if you think you know everything, I feel like staying with it, continuing to play so that when you get dropped off in that game one, you have at least some sense of a game plan going in. I feel like the reps are really, really important. And the top thing is that I just want to prove the March curse is just a myth, It's just about mindset. And I feel like I have a really good mindset to where I can make a lot of noise come Super League,
That's true. It really is a ebb and flow, Art. It's an ebb and flow of trying to find a balance of knowing you've been there, you won that tournament, you won that, and then you also have to realize and think about, damn, everybody is getting a piece of candy. 100-star club, that's candy. Everyone's getting that now, right? A medal, not going to say it's candy yet, but when you have 29 players out of 64 have one medal, and I believe the answer is now, 14 or 15 have two or more, or something ridiculous now, and you got, 12 people in the 200-star club, almost 10 in the 100-win club. Now, I just want to ask you, man, the competitiveness, because in other leagues, let's face it, if you're a top guy, sure, you can have to fight the bot some games, sometimes experience. Here, pick your poison. Without saying much, this Super League field we have is better than last year. Because think about it. It's going to get better. We didn't have as many medalists in 2024. Okay, yeah, we lost the big one, right? We lost, two big ones. We lost Ashley. We lost JT in a sense that from the field for not making Super League. But even then, you have so many people that have come up through the ranks, and it's not even, any given day I can outperform. Even a guy like me that's been playing the damn game for 20 plus years has started to realize that the gap is gone. My advantage or Sanford's equal. It's Sanford, right? We thought, he's invincible. Not anymore, right? It's getting to the point where the gap is shrunk. Talk to me about the fact that the competitiveness of this league, the fact that everyone's got medals and accolades, has almost enhanced the competition to where if you're just off by a little bit, you're out to lunch.
Yeah, the set field is really the thing that drives that the most, because it's the same people coming back year after year after year. And the people that are at the bottom, those people are being slowly weeded out, whether through being demoted or them up and leaving. I mean, we see some top players up and leave, but it's been mostly the bottom rung guys, where when we get this field of D2 players coming up next year, it's going to be even more competitive, and the top players are going to have even less of a theoretical edge on the average player up here than even now. So you're going to have to be on your A game every single time you go out there. Even if you're a 3 seed, the 14 seed is probably just as close to skill level as you are. I mean, it's just, again, it comes back to Uno being luck driven, but not entirely luck based, where it's just a matter of getting yourself as much of an edge over your opponent as possible. And the opportunities where your opponent makes a mistake and you can take advantage of that, those are getting fewer and far between, to where I thoroughly believe that just about anybody in this league can go on a run if, the cards fall just the right way. It's just the nature of the beast with this game.
Yeah, that's the problem. Those days of, I had all the ammo go against me, I got away with it. Yeah, right. There might be a couple instances where you'll get away with that. Maybe someone has all the ammo and they're just thinking about. Or I remember someone had all the ammo and they said, "Yeah, okay, I really did, but I had other stuff going on in life and I wasn't." There's always going to be those rare moments, those Blue Lobster moments, where maybe sometimes you catch someone on a bad day, but on a normal day, on any good day, yeah, you're not winning if you don't get a little. And I said this to somebody. You need a little lady luck in the game now. In the past, maybe you didn't need it because skill was there, but now we've opened up the vocabulary number of fish. Ammo control, end around, reverse ISO, fake wilds. Is that a +2 chain just to get out and get the possession arrow? There's just too many terms, and the problem with that is, or I'll bring you into this, where are all those terms coming from? Well, at the end of the day, I created this, right? We both created this to where, at least the stream element, we definitely both wanted this. And we wanted to really say, open up the vocabulary, open up the terminology, because if we can open up the terminology and the vocabulary on a stream game where everyone gets one, you can use that to your advantage, whereas in the past, maybe if you just have a stream game, or excuse me, a non-stream game, and there's no terms, or there's no textbook being there, players won't even know what the heck end around, reverse ISO. It's like calling a football play. What the heck is a banana spider 2 left E minus? It's ridiculous, right? But now with this, we've opened up the playbook where everyone can almost be an O or D coordinator. It's ridiculous. And especially in this league, I've noticed the O coordinators have become a lot more persistent, because in the past with the old bot, when the league first came out, you had to win defense. If you had to know how to play good defense, you're good. But now, with ammo control and ammo timing being so crucial on the bot, yeah, you better not be a good offense coordinator. You got to know when to time that right, and you got to know when to make that big bold call on 3rd or 4th down. But you're talking me through it, Ard, just the parity of success. Really, it's not even it's almost the success has almost spoken for itself, and which in theory, as Nick said, has lent itself to ridiculous comp.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing that has been going on now. And have you seen anything in all the other game chats or seen the streams? That's sort of what's been going on. And it's kind of fascinating to think how people have used Uno in sort of ways like that. Because not everyone's always going to have that sort of thing where it's like, oh, you got sort of a way to play defense, but now you're seeing all these people just sort of try to make those sort of big plays and try to at least see if they can pull out something.
Yeah. There's always going to be some type of new camouflage or strategy, a rabbit out of the hat look you may have not even thought about. And sometimes it works, right? Sometimes it catches you on a bad day, and it's got to tip your hat, and that's what everyone's doing a great job. And we knew it too at the beginning of the year. We saw a guy like Nick win a tournament. Then, sometimes, let's see if this happens again. We know what he can do. Stat shot, hold the phone. Stack one, right?
That was the turning point.
That was it, right? The Vapor closed out the season, but if we think about just Vapor closing it out, what were the storylines? Andy was there, who had that on the bingo card. Acosta getting a medal? Like I said, where is that? Background we knew, we got a medal, but in a sense, we all knew background. We knew what he could do. Coming from D2, we knew he was on time.
Yeah.
But even
comes from UL too.
Even JC's, this guy's been here since before we were even born at this rate. Right? He's one of the OGs. It took him 15 tournaments or 13 tournaments to get a first Final Four. We talk about Toaster guy, successful guy, right? Does a great job. He don't even got a medal yet. It's insane. It's insane to think about how so many good players there are. I don't even have a medal. Caesar, no medal yet. Toaster, no medal yet. All right, there's a lot of people out there that are blue lobsters in a sense, and they don't even have one. And then we got Hotstats coming in that have 5, right? In the sense of, look at Ashley. I mean, before she stopped, it was just ridiculous, winning everything. So it's crazy, but it's the ebbs and flow. But Art, do you want to go ahead and I believe it asked the 4th question on your list, and you got a couple. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nick, I want to ask, what's the most important life lesson someone has given you?
That's a good question. Go ahead, Nick.
The most important life lesson someone's given me. Man, that is. Oh. That's tough. I mean, the one thing that comes to mind is just uh my mom, she works as a school counselor at like a public school. So she's seen a lot of different things through her time there. She's been in that system for like decades at this point. The one thing I would take away from that she would want me to be is just be respectful of others. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, uno is uno, but at the end of the day, you just gotta have respect for your fellow man. I try to treat everybody that I come across. Sometimes in the spur of the moment, we could say things that we don't necessarily mean, and that hurt feelings, drama, what have you. But at the end of the day, you just gotta have bond with your fellow man, treat everybody with respect, and they'll treat you back with respect and kind. And that's something that I really value. You know, I a lot about making sure that I leave a good impression on others, and I mean that's just basically it. Just be nice, y'all. Simple.
Now, well, Mama Nick knows best, right? that's for sure.
Yeah.
But no, well, shout out to your mom. That's not easy. Art, we'll bring you back in, man. You remember the days, man? We freaking high school and middle school. You see your guidance counselor. Oh man, I remember those days. So, how's the 6th grade going? How's freshman year? How's whatever, right? Did you have a fight with Jimmy or yeah, whatever? I don't know. It's crazy, but those guys and gals are. You got to go through that, right? Sometimes you got to go through the corporate world of, all right, you got to say, sir, I get it. Oh, where are you going to go to school? And some people isn't. Some people are, hey, man, I'm down for it. And some people are not. And there's some people that are, thinking, oh, I can take care of this or take care of that. But no, there's always an element of be respectful and kindness. And I think G said patience was his big thing. But yeah, definitely. Taking care of everyone, taking care of your fellow man, that's important. Because at the end of the day, if you take care of your fellow man, good things will be rewarded. You want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of times in society, that's sometimes not things that people do. It's not always watching out for certain other people and making sure that, hey, are you doing all right? Is there anything going on? And that's kind of one of those things, like, it's good to also just think that there are those sort of people. Because here's the thing. If I had people like that always wanting to look out, and I did, it's always good. But sometimes there's just those people that just don't help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nick.
You know, yeah, not Ard hit the nail on the head.
He always does.
I mean, you gotta, yeah, you just gotta, surround yourself with the right people. I mean, you gotta treat people with respect, and you gotta surround with people who will treat you with respect and kind. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Absolutely. There's always going to be an element. I think with the one thing I've noticed so far in this interview is just the ebbs and the flows, man. It really is an ebb and flow type of show tonight, where you have to find the balance and find the acts of getting to the point where you feel calm and zen about anything. Now, we'll transition a little bit into more just the crux of the league, right? We've always talked about this league is a grind, right? There's no other league, at least on Discord. Now, I've been in some other leagues, right? Mitts, UUL. I did a little bit of soul searching, right? A little bit
Soul searching.
No, God almighty. All right, could you imagine me soul searching some more? We'd be here for 12 more hours, man, if I did a soul search interview. God almighty. The last time me and I did a 5-hour interview. Let's do 12, right? No, a little spectating with UUT. Other leagues, right? And the one thing I noticed about this league, man, and it's funny because me, Ard, Fitzwater were the OG investors, was the grind. We start the journey back in January. You think about, where's the Super League location? There you go. And then we start playing February, and then for the most part, let's call it Feb to August, right? Then you got a little break, summer breaks as well. And then for the most part, Super League, maybe next year it might change a little bit, maybe late August. But for the most part, it'll start September, and then you got October, the playoff event, and you're not guaranteed to get there. How do you balance the grind, knowing, Nick, that at a certain point, we saw it this year. Look at Andy. Take here an example, or Acosta. 0-2 Acosta, right? Then he finished 8-5. Andy was 5-4 entering the final tour. Now he's 10-5, right? Talk to me about the grind of a season and how it both pushes you mentally to push yourself to the limit, but also, in a sense, appreciate that, hey, man, it's a long season. We're talking, in your case, 8 months of Uno, February through, well, hopefully October. That's a long grind. It's basically the MLB equivalent, in a sense. Talk me through it, how you stay clean on the grind, because there's not a lot of sports that go 8 months, and it's just the same thing, everything. Go ahead. Talk about that.
This may just be me personally. I don't necessarily find Uno as demanding. I mean, there's a lot that goes into the mental game when it comes to Uno, figuring out what you're gonna do. But as long as you're not like burning yourself out on it, which I feel like the only way you can do that is if you're constantly playing practice games over and over. Like, if you're running a best of 99 or whatever, like, I couldn't do that. That's just way too much Uno in one setting. But if you can have that balance to where you're getting the reps in, to where you know when you get into that first game of the series and you don't need to warm up, but you're also not pushing yourself to the point where you hate the game itself. Because I've done that before, and burning yourself out, it's never an enjoyable experience. I feel like if you could find that balance, that's good. But it takes a lot of Uno playing, for me at least, to get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm sick of playing Uno. I gotta do something else. I'm just a fan of Uno, you know? Even days of one-on-one Uno, I played it with my friends back when I was in high school, and I did some matches online as well, and the Uno software, like over Steam, where it's like 4 players. I'm just a fan of the game, and I feel like that makes it a lot easier for me to, run the gambit of going through an entire tournament and continuing to play player after player and bring the same energy, same intensity. If you deep down have an enjoyment for the game, I feel like that's very valuable.
No, it is definitely an element of enjoy the process too, and I think this year too, the fact that we are allowing you to commentate, ref, and enjoy a little bit more, or have that, I guess, appreciation. You'll get this appreciation a little bit more when you get to the March next year, when you get that holiday tour. I give everyone the open tour that won a tournament. You'll understand, man, this is a lot. And I'll bring Art in, man. As a player, it's refreshing to hear that, hey, you got more options, you don't get burnt out, because I'll tell you this much, man. Coming off from no off season, when we finished that thing in December 12th, the last game Ashley won, and then we went right straight into off season meetings, and we had to cram 75 topic checklist, I think it was. There's 75 topics. It's ridiculous. Basically, in 2 weeks, I never took an exam in college, but that's probably what it was. Because I didn't go to school. It's probably what the equivalent of it was crazy. It was one of the craziest things we did, and I think we never got to the full checklist to really make this league even better. Even though we did a lot for this year on the offseason, but it seemed like we did a lot, but we really had to cram it. And I think the fact of the matter is giving you guys the off time is important, because while in theory, yeah, we could definitely do this for 12 months out of the year straight for sure. Is it possible? For sure. Is it feasible? Because the hosts of this league, it's not easy. We say we take about 1,000, 2,000 hours, but in reality, when you see some of the stats and you see how much time we've been, okay, yeah, now I see it, because we're looking at all the stream games, right? All the content, all the things, and all the debates of surveys and formats and meetings and competition, direction meetings. It's ridiculous what goes on behind the scenes, and I think the fact that the players at least can say, it's a long grind, but I'm not getting burnt out of the same material, is refreshing compared to the past, where maybe people would say, I said, man, I'm done. So I did want to bring in or the balance of it, man. It's not easy to have an 8-hour competition meetings. We've had those meetings, and then think about, hey, these players they'd love to even get a sniff of that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and here's the thing. I will say this, for all the people that have had their league holidays, some of them take more appreciation for what we have done for the league. And here's the thing, it takes a lot of work, and you kind of threw in how we had to go through basically this past off season that wasn't even much, and had to try to build in everything. And here's the thing, I know once we get through this season and we get into a proper off season, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be worked on to see what can be done, and hopefully some of those changes will come in.
Yeah, we're going to have more time. We're not going to be in the rush of 2 weeks, 75 topics, go. No, we'll have at least, I'm going to say, a solid 2 months, November, December, and partially of October, 2.5 months, and then January, so 3.5 months. We're gonna have time, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna really attack the things that need to be attacked, and just really make it even better. I think we talked about this year a lot. People, this is the complete. I think I'm starting to lean towards this year was more of a optimization year, and then next year we're gonna really, really iron out all that stuff and make it even better than what it was. Which is crazy to say, because this league, from an outsider perspective, from Nick's perspective, he's coming into this thing, well, when he first came in, professional Uno. Is it really professional to everything? No. But is it damn close to where it's semi-pro? Yeah. You can say it, because it is a lot of intricacies. And I want to ask Nick, what's your favorite part about being a part of the quote-unquote, maybe not the commission team, but the quote-unquote team, being a ref, a player, a commentator at times, even stat man. I know sometimes you do stats. What's the favorite part about being some of the helping roles, the advisory roles that's made the experience more? What were some favorite parts this season?
In my opinion, the favorite part of it was being able to commentate some of these D2 matches, even 1 or 2 D1 matches. I have a soft spot in my heart for D2 specifically, just because it not only is there like a top echelon of player, but the players down there are a lot more, like the average player is a lot more off the rails compared to the average D1 player. And that's crazy even saying that, but believe me, when you see it, that's the reality of the situation down there. And, it's a lot of fun, when you get into the right flow, bouncing back and forth between the streamer and yourself as the co-commentator. I remember the D2 finale for Justice July, their T4 right before the LCQ starts. That finale, there was like 5 different commentators on there. You know, just for kicks, we wanted to get everybody on there. And there was like a crowd of like probably 20 people coming in and watching this go down, and it went down to the wire. That was such an incredible atmosphere there. It's very difficult to replicate that, like the feeling that you're like actually watching some sort of like sporting event going down. But in that moment, it sort of felt like it, because we were all just bouncing off each other, getting real hype over the action that was going down. It just felt incredible to be part of that. And I'm looking forward to all the moments that are to come as I advance along in my commentating career up here.
Yeah, there's always going to be moments if there's that 1 or 2 series. Are you unmuted, everybody?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you got. I thought you came off the mic. You could. But no, it's there's always going to be 1 or 2 moments where you get that rare Blue Lobster game where it's 20 people. That's crazy though. I think there's a certain point where you might be too many cooks in the kitchen, but yeah, that's a little crazy. that one, okay, maybe that a little too much, but yeah, for the most part, let's just call it the atmosphere, because 5, I couldn't imagine trying to deal with 5. You have to really know how to split the roles up. But
we were making it work. But
God bless you.
It was chaotic.
2's enough, Art. 2's enough with the ball. I said that's enough.
Well, 2, sometimes 3, if you know what's going on.
Yeah, it had to be me, Seth, DJ, and maybe I don't know, you, maybe. I don't know. That's a mecca right there. I don't know if we. That's the difference too, right? Because with Seth, when we brought him in, and a lot of people, this guy's a pro. No kidding. He is a pro. He really does this for a living. So it's not easy to match what he does sometimes, and he's did a great job learning the system. But unfortunately, I haven't really checked much. I think I've only been to maybe 2 or 3 games down there all year, but I do watch the streams back because remember the podcast, I got to listen to take notes and whatnot. And there is something to be said about just the chaos down there. It is a little. It's interesting. It's something that it reminds me a lot of all the chaos. It reminds me a lot of the backyard league I used to do way back when I was 5, 6 years old. But the only difference was that was controlled chaos. This is just chaos in general. So we'll see what's in store when they get up here. But it is interesting to have the dynamic of both leagues for sure. But Artie, want to ask the next question, man? And then we'll start doing some final cues here, and then we'll wrap it up with a little fun game.
All right. I think I got one here that's good for you, Nick. You know what, Nick? I want to ask you, what's some of the biggest fears that you have?
Your questions are wild today, man.
Biggest fears. we're getting to the core of my soul right now.
Man, that's hard, though, bro. That's hard. He loves doing that. Go ahead.
In terms of biggest fears, I used to be like irrationally afraid of dogs back in the day, and that came from 2 experiences where I got bit by a dog. It wasn't necessarily all that serious, but when you're like 10 years old at the time, that stuff sticks with you, and for some reason it stuck in my brain where if I saw a dog, I would get like absolutely terrified of it. But it's not the case anymore. I've sort of calmed down from that. It's not really something where if I see a dog, I'm chill about it. I am a lot more of a cat guy. I do have a pet cat that I absolutely love to death, but dogs are chill too. As for fears now, my biggest fear would probably just fear of failure. I mean, if we're going down to brass tacks with, I can't. I mean, there's the obvious ones. It's a spider. I'm afraid of spider. Oh, I'm afraid of heights. That's not necessarily something that is representative of stuff that I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of, what if everything goes wrong and you know, what if my grade starts to slip? What if I end up having some sort of emergency going on? And at the end of the day, the way that you cope with that, you just gotta keep in mind that you can only control so much at the end of the day. Just focus on what you can control. You can control your grades for the most part. Lock in on stuff that you can control. Let fate determine what have you for whatever else, no matter what, obstacles in your path. If you stress out about the details, about every single little thing, like I've done in the past, you're just going to end up burning yourself out at an even faster rate where you won't even be able to like get out of bed without what have you. You just got to take a more relaxed attitude to life where you can't necessarily be afraid of failure. You just got to take the next step and go from there.
No, that's great insight, man. It really is. It's, if you think about it, the fear of failure, really there's only one way to fail, and that's if you quit. And if you think about this, if you just straight up cold say, I'm done, finished, right? That's your only chance of failure. If you really say, hey, look, guys, it's not my day. Oh, it was tough. But I'm still going to get through. Failure don't exist, right? That's it. Unless you DQ, in a sense. It's keeping the league turn. Unless you're DQing, you're good. You can still find a way to recover that. But, yeah, you're right. In the end of the day, everyone's going to have all heights or arachnophobia or all these phobias of, I'm afraid of. I know someone's afraid of just touching a doorknob. It's crazy. These are real fears, Some people have that. The most common one, definitely, I would say, well, I thought it would be heights, but I think the most common fear is public speaking. Sucks.
Public speaking, I mean, they're onto something with that fear. I mean, public speaking, it's not necessarily an enjoyable thing, but, I can sort of tank that. It's not the end of the world.
Or they must have made me different in the lab when they built me. They said, let's give this guy the anti-speed. He can public speak forever. Let's give him the...
He loves it. He loves it.
They must have created me in the lab, you know what I'm saying? They give this guy everything. The other one, though, more than just height, I think a lot of people are afraid of flying, man. I know a lot of people that I don't want to fly. That's the ultimate, man. It's in fate's hand. At the end of the day, you have to accept that when you go any transportation, but flying it's safe for sure. It's definitely safer, but you have to accept that what happens in the sky, it happens in the sky, right? You're up there in the clouds, 40K above. You got to accept the fact that, hey, I chose this, I booked this ticket, and if it happens, it happens, right? But it's crazy to say it, but at the end of the day, that's how life is, and sometimes it can be just, hey, I accepted to go on this car ride, but if something happens, it happens. We choose everything, and we can control that. We control that vacation. Now, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we're forced to do things where we got no choice to travel this or whatever. But it's something you can control. It's on you with the fate, right? And that's the beauty of life. Hey, you can control it. That's on you. But if you can't control it, then you got to accept it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you see the pilot holding a bottle of whiskey entering into the cockpit, I mean, you can choose to get off that flight.
Yeah, but a little bit different. A little bit different.
But other than that, other than that, it's all fake.
Sometimes it's just it's in God's hands, face hand. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with Hex Super League and anything really will be controlled. Or I want you to wrap your 2 other questions you had. Then I'll have a couple more, and then we'll do some fun stuff. Go ahead.
All right. I guess I could go back to this one. Nick, I kind of want to ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, man,
where do I see myself?
Heaters are.
Is this like a job interview? I see myself working at this company and doing so-and-so.
No, that's what Ard does. Sometimes he prepares you for that. Go ahead. It's crazy,
man. Maybe I'll stay in the Ohio area. Maybe not. Hopefully I'll have some sort of job in the industry locked down. Mechanical engineering, it's sort of flexible. You're not necessarily as locked in on a certain career path as you would if you were like an electrical and or an aerospace engineer or what have you. I'm still in the process of figuring out exactly where necessarily I'm going skills once I graduate from college. But beyond that, I'm just along for the ride just as much as any. I mean, I have those basic goals out in life, but 5 years from now, I won't know until I get there. You might see me in a completely different state or a completely different country by then. It sort of really depends.
Yeah, man. No one knows what tomorrow's going. Freaking 5 years. No one knows what tomorrow's going to hold, but in a sense, if you have some sort of outline in 5 years, they say the old saying goes, "Hey, at least you're forward thinking." But take it day by day, man. Good question, Herb. But I think we got save that one for the boss. Okay, let's save that one for a guy like me. We'll save it for Pat. Because you gotta remember, a lot of these guys. It's a good question, though. But a lot of these guys are just establishing for sure. They're trying to get their life.
Yeah, I get that.
No, that was good though. That was a good moment. Funny, man.
Yeah, I think I can throw in this last one I got here for you.
Another one. Oh God, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we come. Here we go.
Okay, Nick, I kind of want to know, do you have any superstitions or routines that you have to get yourself psyched up before a match?
Boy, oh boy, we're doing everything tonight, huh? All right, go ahead.
Okay, I used to do this thing where I refused to play at all, like 12 hours before a match or so, just so, I wouldn't necessarily burn myself out. That's sort of just a loose rule that, I don't necessarily follow by now. But I do make sure I get plenty of reps in. That's the important thing. I make sure that I get at least a little bit of practice ahead of time. Probably, I want to make sure that I get at least one game in, day before. Game day comes around, I like to listen to some music while I play. I know that there's some other players that do that. A lot of it's just like I put on like rally house mixes, drum and bass mixes, jazz fusion, a lot of it's like energetic, but not like over the top, sort of chill music to where, it helps me lock in on the match for sure. Where, it's just, that's the main thing that I do. I like listening to music. I almost always play on PC because playing on mobile is absolutely decoded, at least in my opinion. I never do well when I play on my phone for some reason. Outside of that, that's about it. Unless there's some other, superstition that I have. The one match I did, I had my pet cat's Sammy watch. And that was my first match with Andy, and that ended up with a 5-1 victory. So maybe I should get her to tag along for a couple more of my matches, more superstition my way. We'll see if that pops up around Super League. We'll just have to wait and see.
It's ridiculous to think though that so many people in this league have probably superstitions that we don't even know of. So it's funny you mentioned the cat and then 12 hours before playing. That's interesting. That I think there's some people who try to cycle out luck. They try to cycle the luck out. I know that's so.
Yes. I'm like the guy that rang the bell for. Oh, you gotta play until you get a loss, because then once you do the loss, you got all the bad luck out of your system. So when you do play the next match, you'll have better cards that come your way, because it's like a gambler's fallacy, and it's absolutely illogical, but it's something that I subscribe to wholeheartedly.
It could work. I mean, There's a lot, man. I remember one time, I think it was actually the March finale. It was when I won my March. Like, you know what? This whole tournament, I haven't done anything super. So I just being myself. I don't really have any. I don't have any. I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna take a long walk on the beach. Just take a 1 hour walk, clear my mind, splash some ocean water on my face. Maybe that will put me to a pure state, and it worked. I mean, I might as well when you're playing basically 2.0 you and Ashley, which was ridiculous. You have to try something different, and I said I'm just gonna go to the ocean. And it's kind of funny that she lost her 2 tournaments to start her career to ocean people, because I'm basically down the shore, and Cap is basically on the shores of Latvia. So, and he won Aquatic April, so that's funny. But yeah, no, it's definitely. It's definitely an interesting question. Now, my follow up to that is that what's it like living out there in DOH, man? What's Ohio like? I hear a lot of stories about it for sure.
I mean, there's a shocking amount of people that live in the state. I mean, if you look based on the population numbers, I think it's in like the top. I don't want to say top 10 and be like actually out of it, but it's up there. I live sort of outside of one of the major cities, and I go to one of the major cities, for university. It's just kind of comfortable living up here. I mean, sometimes it gets humid as all get out, like around summertime, if you're out here and it's like 90 degrees and humid, I mean, you're just absolutely dying out here. I mean, in terms of specific stuff, I mean, it's at the end of it's sort of just like a regular Midwest state with sort of a New England feel to it, because it's right on the border to where, Pennsylvania you can lump into the New England stuff. Indiana, Michigan, their Midwest is all get out. Ohio, that sort of just straddles the border between those 2 regions of the United States. So, I feel like it's both a good sample size. It's like a good sample of a lot of different, types of people in the United States. But it's also kind of ordinary in the grand scheme of things where, if it's like California, Texas, New York, there's different cultural, there's different cultures out there where you can tell, oh, you're from California, you're from New York, Ohio, that's a little bit more vague, but, I like living out. It's comfortable, but you never know where life will take you. The one thing that's keeping me here is staying close to family. I like being close to family. I'm not necessarily looking to move away from that, but if jobs pop up, I might have to, and that'll suck. I just got to put me first at the end of the day, if push comes to shove on that. But yeah, that was kind of long-winded. When the question was, "Oh, what was Ohio like?" It's a vibe. That's my simple answer.
Listen, man. At the end of the day, it's ProCheck. Anything goes. That's the beauty of this show. Anything goes in this thing show. But if you can get asked questions of 5-year returns and superstitions and your biggest life advice, then anything goes with answers, right? We can't really.
What are your strengths and weaknesses as an employee?
Yeah.
We don't go that far like job interviews.
Oh no, man! You're getting close. You're towing the line there, baby.
You were. That was right from it.
No, all joking aside, that's funny. Last question before we do the fun game. I mean, out of everybody you played so far in your career, right? All the memories of both wins and losses, right? What is one player you played that really stood out to you, excluding maybe the people we've mentioned? So Ashley, as we already talked about those 2. Anybody excluding those, or Monkey, the mistake. Anybody other than those three? Who is somebody you stood out or you played?
Oh, okay. I would have said Yepes, but you took that answer from me. So
Gotta be a little different.
if it's not, gotta a little bit shout out some other people. I will say, out of all of the games that I've played this season, the only player that I necessarily felt like outplayed me during the course of the match was background character. Not Ashley, not Yepes, not, Toaster Guy or Monkey, or it was background character of all people. And I don't necessarily know how to feel about just being too cocky or if background is really just him. But I know they have a lot of experience coming over from UUL, so I tip the hat to them. In terms of just a vibe, I mean, you got to go Toaster Guy, huh? I mean, the dude's just he's just here for the vibe, and he's good, and he's a wild, just absolutely crazy. You never know what you're gonna get going into a series with him. We're 1-1 now, I believe. I'd love to get a third game with him, if at all possible. Maybe we'll see it come Super League time, because he's more than likely making the field, so we'll just have to wait and see on that, but I'd be more than welcome to the possibility.
Yeah, we'll see what the Super League field entails. We'll see if we get the Toasty Nick rematch. We'll see if that happens, or down the road, or in the Super League. We'll see. But been a good interview, man. We're gonna do a little fun this or that. It's always a fun little game we always play with. It's rapid fire. I know we tried doing this with you. God bless him. He did a good job. But man, it's this or that, man. We don't need a 20-minute answer. Just quick 30 seconds, rapid go.
I got you.
We'll get her going. All right, this one should be a no-brainer here on this one. Well, I don't know, maybe not. I think you said this earlier, but we'll start it off. Summer or winter, because you did mention it 90 degrees. So which one do you prefer, summer or winter?
It's summer. I mean, because winter, the winters are brutal. I mean, summer, you could tolerate, but winter, you just got to stay indoors.
Yeah, fair enough. And you think about it, it's 90 degrees and it's humid, but at least it's nice that you can do something. Winter, you're stuck. You're stuck.
Yeah, you're cooked.
Especially in Ohio, a lot of snow out there. Great Lakes, all that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Lake effect is terrible.
Oh, so you are close to it. Okay, I figured. Yeah, that definitely that makes a difference. That plays an answer. Let's see here. Driver or passenger? You want automotive April, or you picked automotive April as the theme. So that's a good question.
Driver, easy. I love driving. It's just, I'm a racing fan, just like a lot of people here.
That is true. We do have a lot of that for sure. Now, are you a truck guy or a car guy? That's a tougher question.
Car guy. I'm not necessarily lugging things across the state yet. If I get to that point, then yeah, I'll invest in a truck, but I don't need it for status symbol. Just give me a slick car and I'm chilling.
There you go. Gotcha. Well, that's a tougher one. Pizza or pasta? What do you got?
Give me the pasta. Pizza's good. Pizza's convenient, but pasta, if we're talking about taste, pasta's gotta be on top,
Believe me, there's I'll bring Ard on this one, man. Believe me, that's what I always say sometimes, buddy, with the pasta. There's more variety to it sometimes. You have different shapes, you have different ways of cooking it. Pizza has been around forever, for sure. I love pizza too. But
yeah.
I don't eat it as much. And I've also been spoiled, so I told you, private. I got spoiled when I went to Italy. It's like, man, it's completely different. Different world.
Yeah, and if you go to one of those sorts of authentic Italian places, you want to go for the pasta, really. It's like, pizza's cool and all, but you want to actually have that sort of feeling of having good Italian food with the pasta.
100%.
If you're going to Italy for pizza, there's something wrong with you. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
It's a whole different world out there, man. It's crazy. And especially where you are too, because I'm down in Jersey. That's all we have down here. It's all pizza parlors, right? And it's all, you know, on every block there's one. It's ridiculous. But when I did go to Italy, I was there just for everything, man. Pizza, whatever, gelato, anything you name it. I was just there to just try it out, and it's ridiculous. Everything was just. Go ahead.
There's a lot of pizza places around the apartment building that I'm in specifically. There's like a pizza place that's literally like 5 steps away once you walk out the door, and there's another pizza place that's on the other side of campus. So pizza's just a regular dinner. Pasta, I mean, that's a treat. I mean, that's, you're coming home, mom made a special dish for, dinner. That's a sit down dinner where you feel really good.
Oh yeah, no, that's
vibe.
That's what we're talking about for sure. Let's see here. What about? Oh, this is a good one. Would you rather have this is more of a would you rather, but would you rather play a 3-hour basketball game or a 3-hour football game? That's interesting.
Oh man, 3-hour football game. I like football more. Plus, you're not constantly moving for 3 hours straight like you would with the basketball game. I mean, there's a lot more stopping in between plays for football than basketball when it comes down to brass tacks. I don't have that kind of stamina. I don't know about y'all. I used to do flag football back in the day, but I don't have that kind of stamina now.
Oh, I told you I played rec basketball, so it was a great time, man. It was ridiculous. It was a great time. But honest to God, after I retired from that, I still love doing when I can some flag football. Because really flag football is easier, too, depending on the position. Bet you're right. Nick's right. In basketball, it's all about technique. You got to know how to shoot. You got to know how to run. You got to know the defenses. In football, it depends. You're not playing every position. In basketball, in a way, you will at some point play every position. It's weird because you think, oh, I'm just a small forward or a wing player, but you're going to have to crash the boards even if you don't think so. Sometimes you have to crash the boards, and in football, you ain't crashing no boards as a quarterback. Come on, you're stuck as the quarterback. You ain't going to no position. You maybe in other when you're youth leagues you play other positions, but as you get older, you're probably stuck as a QB. It's basketball, you almost play any position you can as you move around the court. So that is interesting. This is an interesting one. Singing or dancing?
Can I pick neither?
Okay.
Probably dancing. Probably dancing if I had to pick, but I wouldn't be enthusiastic about it.
Fair enough on that one. What would you pick, Art?
I wish I could also have the neither option, but I guess if I would pick, it would probably be dancing.
I'll make it a triple.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I've done karaoke before. It's they say I have a nice voice, but I don't want to have a little dance moves. I do. I wouldn't say neither do I do like to make my own creative dance moves. So I'll say dance for sure. This is about the creativity. Would you rather paint or draw? Painting or drawing?
Drawing, just because painting just sounds like a mess with all the the different paints, and you got the easel and you're mixed in, and it's all that. Bro, just give me the markers and the pencil, bro. It's not that deep where you gotta paint. I don't think it's that deep. And also it would probably turn out a lot better if I was drawing and not painting or whatever. Come on now.
Yeah, it's definitely it can be a mess when you're painting, especially when you get those different type of paint acrylics and different type of pastel paints. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it gets a little.
Not looking to do that.
Well, this might be a good one. We mentioned it. Would you rather go on spend a day on a river or a lake?
Get me one of those lazy rivers where you can just float down the river on the inner tubes and crack open a cold one and chill with your guys. Get me that.
Or how about that one? I'll give you river or lake.
I would probably take a river.
Okay. depends what we're doing. I think it depends. It depends. I think I'll say river only because. Yeah, I think I'll just say river. I don't know. It depends on the activity. Because sometimes you get those river activities are nice, but then you got the lake, surfside lakes, and you're on maybe a raft or something, or not a raft. What's the tubes? One of those tubes, and you're jet skiing around. Those are cool. Those are cool.
Yeah.
All right, Batman or Superman? This is a fun one.
Batman or Superman. I'm not really big on, the whole DC universe or Marvel or whatever. If I had to choose, probably just Batman off of aura. No other reason, just straight vibes. I think Batman has more aura.
Ard.
Oh, that one's a difficult one. But I would probably go Batman.
I'll make it a triple threat. Yeah, Batman's just cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Superman definitely super strength. You think about all the iterations of that, but something about that Batmobile hits a spot. It definitely hits a spot. It's just looking at that
Absolutely.
and say, man, you know, is real when Batman with that Batmobile show up for sure. Let's see here. Next one. Let's see. Here's a good one. Would you prefer traveling with a suitcase for 3 weeks, or nothing and roaming the world for 3 weeks? Interesting.
A suitcase for 3 weeks or nothing at all for 3 weeks.
That's interesting.
Listen. You can virtue signal. Cool experience to just go with nothing. But yeah, just give me the suitcase. It doesn't need to be that deep. Just I need to go to a restaurant and be able to pay for something. That's an important part of the traveling experience.
You clean clothes too. You probably need some clean.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, I got to give you the suitcase on that one. Or what would you pick? Nothing or?
I would go suitcase there. It doesn't matter where we're going, but if I don't have a suitcase, don't invite me along.
Yeah, that question definitely is a trick question, because if you just go straight, what's the word? Just I don't even know how to describe it. Just going raw, basically nothing, just in the flesh, as Rogers would say, Austin Rogers. Yeah, you're probably gonna be screwed. So definitely give me the case and we'll run it home. But now, what about you think, Nick? Is this next one dining in or dining out? What do you prefer, dining in or dining out?
Well, that's tough. That's
a good
dining
one.
in is a great experience. It depends on the place. Like if you're going to some 5-star restaurant, then yeah, dine in, absolutely. But if you're going to like McDonald's or something, man, just drive it out. Just take it home, man. It doesn't need to be. Don't need to go in McDonald's and get in the place. I'd say it depends on the restaurant, but overall, dining in is pretty cool.
What do you think? Are dine in or dine out?
I kind of get where Nate's going at, and I almost have the same thought process. Like, if you're going to a restaurant, you want to go in and actually enjoy some time, especially if it's like one of those family sort of establishments that you want to just sit down together and enjoy it. I would probably be one of those sorts of people just to go dine in, though.
Yeah, make it a triple there as well. Dining. I think it's a situational thing, but nothing like dining in, having a good night, maybe with family or whatever. It's a good time. It's a good time because dining out too. You gotta think about your wallet too. You can't be doing it every night. Well, unless you get street food every night from overseas in Asia or something, that's real cheap. So that would be like a Red or Avion. Those. Well, shoot, I've been there. Actually, certain countries you want to dine out. Believe it or not, it's cheaper to dine out than go to the grocery store. That's true. In a lot of those Asian countries, go to the street food. You find the street vendor. It's cheap. You get maybe $10 worth of food. And it's got a whole meal, man. That's ridiculous. But unless you're in one of those situations dining is the better move. Stay in there, stay inside. Don't go there. Don't burn your wallet. Here you go, kids. Good lesson. Good lesson.
Right. Yeah.
Good lesson for Pac.
If you take anything away from this, don't break.
Yeah, we're gonna have a fun time at Pac tomorrow with the 5 kids, man. That's gonna be a oh boy, gonna be a hell of a time with that one. Can't wait. Wow, let's see. 2 more. We'll do 2 more. It's a good one here. This is kind of a lame one, but we'll do it. Unicorn or dragon?
Dragons. I mean, yeah, dragon. Easy. No contest.
Dragon.
Yeah, same here. Make it a triple again. Easy on that one. What's something here? Let's see if we can find some. Trying to find it going. It's a list of like 300 of these things. Ooh, this is a good one. I actually like this one a lot. Would you rather have 24 karat gold necklace or diamond cufflinks?
Diamond cufflinks.
That's crazy.
Just give me the gold necklace. Give me that drip. I feel like I could rock that a lot better.
Gold necklace or the 24K, or you go for the diamond cufflinks?
Give me the necklace.
Triple it up again. Yeah, the cufflinks would really bling out. I don't know. That's a little too much for me. Well, too much. That's funny because I was just wearing some cufflinks when I went to that conference, and it was crazy. They actually gave me not diamond. They gave me a pair of these, I guess, some silver ones, and it was kind of crazy. They looked nice, but man, not for me. So I got
none of us are built like that.
Yeah, I go to the hotel. You know what? I'm just ditching this. Screw it. That's not for me. Not for me. Not for me. Ditching that junk. I'll do one more. That was kind of an interesting one. Oh, okay. This is a good one. Which movie do you prefer? Do you prefer a good old fashioned comedy or a drama?
Oh man.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. You know, I mean, okay, here's my take. If a average written comedy versus an average written drama, the average written comedy wins. The premium quality drama versus the premium quality comedy, the drama wins. That's my take on it. I probably just end up going with the drama in that case if I had to choose, but it depends on, you know, how high quality the thing that you're watching is, because if a drama's mediocre, I mean, I'm not sticking around for that.
No, it definitely is situational. Ard, last 2 here. You mean you have the last 2 answers? Which one?
I would probably go comedy a lot more than I go with drama.
This is tough. I'm gonna have to agree with Nick. I'm gonna go with the drama only because it really depends on the cue, right? If the quality has to be there. If it's now, you're probably gonna get more quantity out of comedy because you're just gonna get more laughs. You're gonna get more funny takes for sure. You'll get the quality out,
yeah.
but there's nothing like a good old fashioned quality drama, whether it be a flick or just even a presentation or even a documentary. It's nothing like that, but either way, I don't think there's a wrong answer to that. It definitely is a quality versus quantity debate. So there you go. We've had enough of those debates, I think, over the last 20,000 months with the Super League stuff. So that's kind of a funny way to end right there. All right, Nick. Well, last thing I'll always ask my guests here: is there anything that we have not talked about tonight that you want to share that we know about you? Maybe we didn't know it, but we don't know about you. You want to share before we sign off and Ard gets the last word. Go ahead.
I mean, we dug deep. We really
did, yeah.
If there's anything that you haven't talked about,
all you hear, yep.
Just a shout out to all the people on Discord that support me. Shout out to my fellow players out here. Shout out to my family. I do this all for them. it all comes back to them at the end of the day. Family's the most important thing. I appreciate the support from across the board. Looking to make some noise in Super League this year. Really looking forward to it. Glad I'm in the postseason. Blessed to be here. Yeah, I just absolutely looking forward to it. Thank you. It's been a fun time. I'm looking forward to the future media engagements I have. This has been a really fun time with you both. I really appreciate you both being on.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Ard, you always get the last word. It's your show at the end of the day. What were some final takeaways from Nick? Go ahead.
I will say this, Nick. Even with some of those, maybe some of those tough questions I got to bring in there, Nick actually has brought out a lot of things that maybe some people may know about someone out there in like the Midwest part of the region. Even though we get people from Illinois, but we don't hear much stories on those sorts of people. And I kind of like to hear their perspectives on what goes on out there.
Now we'll get that tomorrow with Illinois and Mac, right? There we go.
Yeah, you will. You certainly will.
Yeah, that's going to be the most interesting. With all due respect to you, G, and Vapor, nothing against you guys. A guy with 5 kids and balancing all this in the league and winning a tournament, a dad basically in the league, only dad in the league now. Fitzy's not in D1, only D1 dad. It's going to be a hell of a time there. But we'll talk about the schedule before we sign off. Check us out tomorrow, 11 a.m. sharp. Will be the first interview of 2. Then 8 o'clock tomorrow with Vapor. Looking forward to that. Then we had to change a lot of the schedule around. Unfortunately, we had Super League couldn't get a reveal show tomorrow because of graphics and other stuff. But we'll have tomorrow those interviews. Then it'll be a special Super League operation. So that means it'll be more of just we talk about Super League operations. First Super League Live. Then we'll talk about D2 as well. Some of the guys that are going to get promoted. And that'll be a fun one because that'll be on the 5th at 2 o'clock. Then we get to the big one, the Super League reveal. That'll be 6 o'clock on the 8th. We'll take the weekend off to chill, relax a little bit. We have been on the grind. Take the weekend off. Then the 9th will be 2 o'clock Tuesday. We'll have a field breakdown. That'll be me and Ard, maybe some special guests as well. Maybe Sanford will come in. We're trying to get him on board as well. Then the 10th, back-to-backs here, 1 o'clock and 7. Mark your calendars, 2 Super League Lives. It's going to be the BKK 2025, recapping the 2025 season. Talk about the guys that missed out. A little bit about the season that was in the league. And, of course, the big one, week 1, me and Ard make those opening preview and predictions for the BKK. 7 o'clock, looking forward to that. Have your calendar set. It's going to be a crazy week. Check the calendar out. You look at the calendar and you see that dang thing. Well, only Ard and I are giving us one off day. It's going to be the 28th of September. After that, we're supposed to be doing something for the next 31 days. So expect us to be absolutely grinding as we continue to go on our Super League journey. Other than this weekend. This weekend we'll have a little bit of time off to fix some graphics. But for Nick, it's been a pleasure, brother. Thank you for checking it out. Checking out his interview. Appreciate him making the 2 hours here on a little ProCheck Primetime. For Nick, myself, Taco, Cody Smart, Luke, we saw Vapor earlier, and Nob for helping us out with the audio as well. Appreciate you guys. For myself and Ard, we'll see you back here bright and early, 11 a.m. on YouTube and Discord for a little Stat Johnson. Looking forward to that for our friend Mac tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody, and we'll see you then.
Peace.